So, and I'm really interested in the Bible mythologies, how they, because I remember Bible stuff like I don't remember all the chapters and verse, but the stories of them that's information coded in mythology that is a theme, a lot of repeating themes, you know, and so I have no problem believing that these people. So what happens when there's an unaccountable? I'm watching the Nexium thing last night about how the guy eventually, like, he had the layers.
I know all.
Ron
Listen,
Hubbard.
I not only know all. So that actually happened around my area. So it was upstate New York. It was out in Colony, and I went to a symposium before everybody was going to jail. Basically, they'd been arrested at that point. Some woman had a huge freak out, like came up. It was a really bizarre thing. And then I talked to one of the reporters afterwards, and he knew who I was, and and he didn't want to talk to me. He's like, I know what you do and I respect it, but I'm.
That's worse than if he thought you were fucking some scumbag. That's actually worse. What a piece of shit.
Okay, well, again, it was really interesting. Like, that went global, right? And first of all, let's talk about that for a second. So Sarah Bronfman still hasn't been arrested. Claire's in jail.
I thought she went to jail. Oh, Claire went to jail.
So there's two of them. The sisters were bankrolling it. Their father was Edgar Bronfman, who was a member of the World Jewish Congress. He had the Presidential Medal of Honor. Very rich man.
Oh, he's a good man. Good man. Even better daughters.
And when everything went down, Claire took over the legal team. I think she ended up getting 8 years, but she'll probably be out in 4 or 5. Sarah jumped ship. But the real thing, the two big things that no one really talked about, was that they were dealing with Mexico and Emmanuel Salinas, who was the son of the ex-Mexican president.
I saw a little bit about that in the thing, yeah.
And so they were actually, some of the teenage girls that were getting trafficked and tortured were in that family, okay? Then they were also running another thing called the Rainbow Cultural Garden, which was a preschool, but it wasn't just in the United States, and it was out in Europe. And, it's scary enough that they had access to all these small children. But on record, the ones that were being abused were they were shipping in teenage girls from South America under the guise that they were going to teach these kids other languages. Like,
they taught them the international language of suck my dick.
It's awful. And Raniere was kind of this power dupe for this hodgepodge of different things that they were doing, I think. You know,
he's a big fuck up. My girl pointed out he didn't really have guy friends like that. There's a few guys, but they're all like ballless wonders. A real guy is good at it, like your L. Ron Hubbard. I loved it. That guy really brought himself up. He figured out how to make his own thing. Okay, he made an intelligence agency. See, it's not a religion; it's really an intelligence agency. It's very similar to actual intelligence agencies. And when I see their that creep Bustamante creep, they all said they sound like Scientologists with their devotion to the thing, and I go, oh, and so L. Ron Hubbard, so he had OT8, right? This is how I imagine the shadow government works, or the deep state that's just an instrument of it. The shadow government has your levels, and you got your OT8 and the bridge. You get over the bridge of total freedom, and at OT8, that's when you find out about the real truth. It's Xenu. And I'll bet these motherfuckers, it's like the lizard people. That's their Xenu. Okay.
I just
and they're
don't
like,
buy
now
it.
you know that it's
they
real. I don't think it is lizard people. No,
Yes.
I don't buy it either. Lizards are not sadistic.
Well, I would
That's
say
a monkey
this. I think at some level, I don't think you even get to level OT8. I think that you do get some kind of classification level. And if you're working with certain things, you are getting like the cover story of the aliens that I don't believe in, that we highly have a conflict of.
Wait, but here's the main thing is the thing I got from the Nexium thing is every unaccountable cult, every cult becomes a sex cult. Every single one of them becomes a sex cult. Okay? So what do you have? You got a group of unaccountable people. They're utterly unaccountable. So what's going to happen naturally? It's going to devolve into some fucking weird fuck cult. There ain't nowhere, and it don't matter who's in that position. They're not accountable to anything, like every other fucking religion. So you can make the story about lizards. You can make it about we're the real bloodline of Jesus. You can make it whatever the fuck you want, really. It don't matter. You're getting fucked. and we're gonna do some weird shit and blackmail each other, and you're gonna be initiated up that way. And So Skull and Bones is how you develop CIA. You get in the thing and talk about, I don't know, you stick your dick in Geronimo's eye hole, whatever the fuck they do.
I've got tape of some of it, actually.
Yeah, it's the Cherry. I was watching about the Kay Griggs, which is very interesting because that one, the people calling it, not that it was.
She talks lizards, bro. She gets into lizards at the end, just to let you know.
I didn't hear it. I didn't see her.
I watched all 7 hours of Kay Griggs back in the day.
I didn't get to the lizards. What'd you say about the lizards?
Basically, it's like the Bohemian Grove shape-shifting lizard experience. Like once things get down to the Grove, like she thinks that they really are like the lizard demons. I forget whether or not she says she saw them herself or not. There's another one too. There's the mother goddess that gets interviewed by David Icke. I think they're both Icke interviews. I think Kay Griggs.
Could I say some creepy as shit?
I mean, listen, all right. So I was
Jimmy got invited to Bohemian Grove.
Did you get invited?
Jimmy got invited.
Did he really? Bro, hold on a second. Wait. 1 second, Kurt. Now, I've recently moved. We're going to have people here. Now, this isn't even everything I have. But we have some of it here.
Do you know why I'm bringing it up? Because he got his phone hacked, his iPhone and his iCloud hacked, and his security guy goes, "That's like,
two-factor authentication." I was watching, my friend. I know all about it. So right here is one of the many annals. I have 9 out of 11 of them. This one actually comes with a CD, The Sounds of Bohemia, and is very music-based. I mean, the owl is absolutely their deity, but I have ones hundreds of years old. Here, right to the owl. Check that out. So that's one of the paintings in the books.
Is the owl Diana?
Who is it? Not Diana, but it is a goddess. In fact, I can show you that too.
Well, L. Ron Hubbard's Red Woman. That's why it's called Dianetics.
Minerva
Diana
is who it is, actually.
Minerva, yeah.
Minerva is the one. This is just one of the many. Let's pull a really good one. So this is about 100 years old. These two. We got their annals from. This is volume 4, and I think this is volume 2 or 3, right here. But like you get into the real stuff, man, and basically this is their middle class. When I say their middle class, I mean the elite middle class.
Yes, right. At Bohemian.
Yes, so you're kind of like getting let in to their
middle
club.
Class.
Exactly. These are tough to come by. There's only about a few hundred of each one from each year. They've gotten a little more later on because they have like 3,000 members now. But they're tough to find. For a lot of it, it is kind of like a party, right? Like after they, first of all, they're all in drag and all that other shit. That's real. In fact, I have it in this film. In fact, let's show some of the skull and bones stuff that got caught on camera. Let's start there.
Let me get my pants unbuckled. This is gonna be hot.
And then we'll go back later to the 9/11/93.
You know what my girl said? She goes, "That's probably why George W. Bush had to be drunk all the goddamn time to forget about what he had to do to be a cherry Marine or whatever the fuck they do in that."
Did we go over the fact he was a cheerleader last time?
No.
Did I show you that?
You said it and I forgot about it.
Yeah. He was a male cheerleader. But like there's a story out there about Brownsville, Texas. If it's real, it's really scary. That's all I can say about that. And it's the possibility that is real. Let's see. Norris Insight Systems. What is, that's right. Hold on. I'm sorry. I forgot. Like I had a certain part from my DVD, the actual video TS. So I don't have all of it here. Here's the end of the movie.
To screen local residents.
And this is where we get into, here it is. There's the Grove. There's the owl. And let's start with the ritual. There they are at Yale, right here. Boom.
To then elevate them to a position of power that can benefit the club.
The video
Come on.
shows the
How are you gonna
neophytes
freeze on me?
or an
How are you going to freeze on me? Seriously?
Is that Mark
screen
Dice?
local
Wealthy and influential families because they know that this person has the resources to then elevate them to a position of power that can benefit the club.
The video shows the neophytes or initiates kissing a skull, then performing a mock human sacrifice. Horrific screams caught on tape include chants of "the devil equals death, death equals the devil."
True. Famous alums include Senators John Kerry and John Chafee, to name 2, cabinet secretaries such as Averell Harriman, and 3 presidents, William Taft, George Bush and George W. Bush, who's been reluctant to talk about Skull and Bones.
Does it still exist? The thing is so secret, I'm not even sure it still exists.
Former Skull and Bones members and current members have been presidents, heads of the CIA, senators, heads of business. I mean, huge, huge corporations. These people have the network that brings them to such a position of power that most people could only dream of.
Bush would run against his fellow bonesman and distant cousin John Kerry in 2004.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code? I wish there were something secret I could manifest. 322, a secret number? There are all kinds of secrets, Tim.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
This is an elaborate...
So, you know, it goes from there into there they are at the Buddhist temple. That's George Bromley, the one in the big headdress there. That was the high priest of the Grove. And instead of the owl back in the day, they had a big Buddhist statue.
Death in the Occult continues.
Go ahead.
Why did they switch it to an owl?
So Bromley, and I have that book at home. It's called, in fact, we can bring it up here. It's called The Long
What year
Ago.
did they do that?
What's
Do you know?
that?
What year did it go from Buddha to owl?
Early 1900s when he was brought in. So the club actually is from the late, I think 1872 is when it starts. And he gets brought in the early 1900s. He goes to China, of all places, to study Eastern mysticism. He's been a part of the club, obviously. You see the Druid stuff. And then I go, I'll type long ago and later on. The cover of his book, let's see, the long ago and later on. Come on. You got to be kidding me. Dude, Google, you suck. How could I not get it? There he is right there. Perfect. So the book here is an owl on a boat. He brought it back from Eastern mysticism. I actually have this book, and I have his obituary. So he's in those as Uncle George, and basically he chooses the owl because it's wisdom, it's a predator, and it sees in the dark, right? So it's the great owl. And the Cremation of Care is basically this ceremony that they induce because they are all working together, right? But they might have to do some bad things.
Yeah, I picked up from burning. Wait, oh.
I know you're there. You're there.
I picked that up from the, burning their consciences.
That's exactly it. Like so basically they say, "Begone, dull care," and they absolve themselves from all the shitty things that they've done over the year. Now,
Right.
what I wanted to get to, which I thought was important. So I saw you and Jimmy talking about 9/11 and the Israeli angle on it. And briefly, you guys brought up the 93 World Trade Center bombing. Now, what a lot of people don't know about that still to this day is that essentially that doesn't happen without the FBI. And when I mean essentially, I mean it doesn't happen without the FBI because it would have been impossible. So
I wasn't in the HBO movie with Peter Gallagher.
Stealth.
I would imagine it was not, but what we're gonna do.
I saw the HBO movie. I know what happened.
Well, let's see. Let's see.
Administration engaged in warrantless wiretaps on American citizens. What they don't understand is that has come out in
What is this? No, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, sorry. I fucked it up, but we'll
actually
find it.
the ravings
Here
of
it
a
is right
madman.
here.
First.
However, McVeigh was filmed.
That's
The
McVeigh.
security in the
It's a whole another
populace.
thing. Here we go.
Muslim extremism seemed to show its ugly face in then unprecedented fashion on February 26, 1993. A truck bomb had gone off in the parking area of the World Trade Center. Luckily, the bombers failed to follow instructions and parked the truck carrying the explosives against the main support column. What is not discussed, however, is the bomb was actually built by an FBI informant under the supervision of the FBI. Ahmed Salam, a former Egyptian army officer who had been doing undercover work for the FBI, was the man who actually built the bomb. When he was told that he would have to use real bomb-making material instead of harmless substitutes, he became suspicious and began taping his conversations with FBI officials.
Last winter, the FBI was praised for its speed in cracking the case of the World Trade Center bombing and bringing 4 suspects to trial. Now, there is some evidence that the FBI may have known of the plot in advance through an informant and might even have stopped the bombing that killed 6 people.
Notice the media emphasizes that they might have been able to stop it. They then gloss over the fact that the bomb was built by their agent, under FBI supervision, in conjunction with the district attorney.
FBI agents might have been able to prevent last February's deadly explosion at New York's World Trade Center. They discussed secretly substituting harmless powder for the explosives, but they didn't, according to the FBI's own informant, Imad Salem. Unbeknownst to the FBI at the time, Salem recorded many of his conversations with his handlers.
The actual recording where Salam discusses this with his FBI handler John Antisev was released years after the trial.
You got paid regularly for good information. I mean, the expenses were a little bit out of the ordinary, and it was really questioned. Don't tell Nancy I told you this.
Well, I have to tell her, of course.
Well, then if you have to, you have to.
Yeah, because, I mean, the lady was being honest, and I was being honest, and everything was submitted with a receipt.
Yeah.
And now it's questionable.
It's not questionable. It's like a little out of ordinary.
Okay.
You know.
All right. I don't think it was. If that's what you think, guys, fine. But I don't think that, because we was start already building the bomb, which is went off in the World Trade Center. It was built by supervision from the Bureau and the GA, and we was all informed about it, and we know that the bomb start to be built. By who? By your confidential informant. What a wonderful, great case.
I mean, the guy just told you he built the bomb with the FBI and the DA, and they talked about substituting. In other words, the blind sheikh and those guys couldn't even build a fucking bomb. They need the FBI to do it.
I thought it was a great story of a man overcoming a handicap, but it turns out the FBI had it. Yeah, well, I told you a while back I looked up, I wanted to see what the most terrorism was, because it was a hot button issue years and years ago, as you recall. And there was a lot of arguments of like, who's a terrorist? And well, white, and so I'm expecting to see Islamic and not, white. Because it was like, is it white or before? Anyway, I look it up. It's eco-terrorism. I go, what? What the fuck is he? Like 12 monkeys? I don't remember that case. I look it up, and then I'm like, well, that's weird. I find out later from that guy who made Four Lions in another movie that was about this. His name's Chris Morris from Brass Eye. Brass Eye was a fake news show in UK. Really funny show. Chris Morris, he's in the IT crowd. He plays the dad who runs the corporation before Matt Berry comes in. So I'm watching an interview with him. And he's talking about how the FBI has over 300 fake. They created it. People that they locked up because it was, hey, we're getting all the terrorists. It's not just like the CIA and shit and the weapons manufacturers. It's also our great federal law enforcement who gets to show what great work they do. So that's why, and it's wild, dude. I'm like, did something happen where because I never would have looked at the 93 World Trade Center or Timothy McVeigh. Me and my girl will talk about this. And I'm like, why are they worse at it? Because now you see Patriot Front or some bullshit. And I'm like, did they get worse at it? Is like how movies got shittier? And she goes, no, you know what it is? Now that the internet backfired big time. Besides the mind control, they're spying on you, but you actually, what I realize is enough of my garbage can memory goes in where now I'm seeing what you're doing, and I don't think they expected that. And I think a lot of people see it. It's and I think the other problem is, this is why if I could hang out at Bohemian Grove, I wasn't asked, but I would bring up to them, do you understand? Yeah, you got your lies coming down. I understand you cremated your care and you're sending your lies down the pyramid, but all the scumbags the people that are trained hollow shells at best, if they're not completely evil, they're ambitious and they're lying their way up the fucking pyramid. So you're not getting any reliable intel about shit. That's why they don't understand. You could see how much they don't get why it's not working with, take for example, those stupid Marvel movies. It's a big mystery to them. They can't acknowledge because in their upline, they got to answer somebody, and they got to look. It's the same problem that I was described to me in China when I was visiting. Of the stakes are high, so when people love the main government there, they don't like the immediate government because those guys are going to get fucked if they fuck this up. So they have a lot of incentive to lie and kill somebody, exposing them, and it creates even more high stakes cover-ups than we have. Okay, because Going to political prison there is way worse than going to like you mug somebody prison. Going to that prison probably better than an American prison. Going to you're a politician that did wrong, you're breaking rocks. Like how when they used to lock her up about Hillary, if they did lock her up, it would be better than Pablo Escobar had. Okay, don't worry about her lock. Like in China, you pay a real price if you're a politician that made the fucking thing look bad. And they anyway,
going with this. I'm telling you where we're going with this. The bottom line is they're trying to. We were talking about terrorism, and we're talking about the fact that they're just making up terrorists, right? And then if you get caught later on, somehow you pay a price. You don't pay a price here, right? But the thing is that they've now made this terrorist thing the common person, right? It's anybody. It's the domestic.
Dude, I love that because now that Israel needs us, our closest ally in the Middle East, our best pal who we ever had in the Middle East needs us, watching like the especially like celebrity kind of people that I know that watching them freak out, or fake freak out, and it's a bunch of like, or some people I like I'll give an example. Sarah Silverman, somebody I always liked. Okay. Right, I like her. I don't mean I used to. I don't now. I just mean, and I told you, I always tell this story because she told me one time she's from Vermont and she was told that being a good Jew means being a good Democrat, number one. And she's very like liberal, even though she had all those things that were offensive, that I don't think is wrong on any level. By the way, that she was offensive. Now Israel's in trouble, and like I remember my ex-girlfriend who was born in Tel Aviv but raised in Philadelphia. She was a rat, dude. They turned into Sirhan when it comes to, they're like a switch is flipped and there is no rational. And I was like, that's why I never looked into it because I don't want to know. It's not worth it to me, right? Norman Finkelstein came on and he's the one that I didn't understand it for many years before him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I assure everyone I would never listen to an Arab or a Muslim. Okay. I want to promise everyone I would never listen to a Hamas about it. It was Jews. A couple of Jews told me. Uh-huh. And I'm naturally programmed to listen to them because I was raised very Christian, you know. So I'm just following what my programming is. But they all flip out, and to me, it's between that and the South Park. That's really the death of woke. It'll take a while for it to all the productions and shit. But what happened is they spent when I was a kid and I was Jehovah's Witness and I had little friends that were Pentecostals and Baptists and shit. I live in North Carolina and there's a lot of I had a friend whose stepdad was an ex-Marine who gave me Jack Chick public tracks, those little comics. Mm-hmm. Okay. And their take on Revelation was different than our take. And theirs was very literally about Israel being attacked by all sides. The nation of Israel reestablished in 1948, that fulfills the prophecy. So you have to back. And I was like, that's not what it's about. That's we had our own fucking thing, which I mean, who cares? It's fucking Revelation. But it suddenly dawned on me now watching this shit. That's like a psyop thing set up in the 80s, you know, with Pat Roberts and all them around when doing Iran-Contra. That real Christian Zionist thing, that's a fucking psyop, the same as the emotional programming of a herd of people with the regular Zionism.
Well, listen, man, that's the whole thing. First of all, let's talk about Zionism because you throw that word around and it means different things to different people.
I did not know what it meant. I asked when we talked because I'm uncomfortable even talking about it on the show, on Jimmy's show, when Craig was doing it. I'm like, what does it actually mean? I don't know what it means.
So I always break it down like this for everybody. You know, so I first say it's a range of issues. And for some people, if you use that word, you're automatically anti-Semitic unless you're pro-Zionist, period. But in reality, Zionism was just the creation of Israel. Let's start there. Before Israel existed as a nation state, to be a Zionist was to be somebody that wanted to create the nation state of Israel.
Which poses a problem because I remember people going, Judaism's not a race, it's a religion, as if I said, like, I was being racist because I said somebody didn't look Jewish, that I turned out to be Jewish. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. And that's the other thing. It's the
no one gets it. It's on purpose. It's a bizarre. So I could convert when I was dating my girlfriend. Like, you're gonna convert. There's a whole thing if I was going to convert. It's a little bit of light racism. I don't know if you know, like, you're not Jewish.
Oh no, I do. Well, I know the whole thing. Yeah. I'm an upstate New York guy that went to college and dated plenty of Jewish girls. And you know,
So
yeah, I get it.
yeah, so I could go start a farm if I want, if I convert. I can take my girl, and now I am a member of the nation. I can. It's the only race you can transition to, I guess, is what it boils down to. You can't transition to black.
No, well,
you
exactly.
Can transition.
But anyway, to the Z word, right? So it's established that Israel's there, and I hate to break it to anybody that
That's
maybe,
all right today. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the people you're genociding right now. Israel can be there. I don't get why you get to blow up. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me finish what I was saying because I got off.
All right, go.
So now woke is dead because all these they spent the last since I was a kid when all this woke shit directive came down. They've been telling people, like Bill Maher's is a big Zionist, and he says the Bible is stupid. But the fucking Bible, the stupid ass Bible, is probably about 50 to 75% of the justification for most of your base of people that support Israel being a nation there. So you just got done telling all these rednecks from PSYOP Christianity that the Reagan years, they spent a lot of time building that up. These evangelical fucking nutbags that go to Liberty College and all that shit that will support Israel no matter what. You've been spending 10 years, you believe the Bible, that's stupid. Okay, great. Oh, also you tried to make their kids gay. Great job. They took that maybe kind of hard. And my favorite part, you told them they're the terrorists. There's a big move to go back to hating Muslims. Tulsi Gabbard's on that train. People that I watch them kind of get things right, and then they're like, remember when Muslims were the problem? And they're not getting the thing of, oh, maybe this is a game. They're going, let's go back to that time when they were the problem. Okay, but you told all these Trump voters that they're fucking terrorists, and those are made up of disillusioned people. Not just the Obama. I mean, there's a lot of disillusioned Obama Democrats. Then you got all the right wing people that realize they got fucked by all the conservatives, and now you can't believe they're not automatic. After you just got done saying Vladimir Putin is a fucking war criminal, every day people don't even care about it have to hear it. Okay, and now. Suddenly, we got to bomb 400 people to get this one guy. That's not a secret. That's the thing they're saying proudly on Wolf Blitzer. It broke Wolf Blitzer's heart to hear it. Not CNN.
Broke.
He goes, but did you? And he goes, did you get the guy? He goes, we don't know yet. And so that's a bit of whiplash because you're talking about bringing Putin up on war crimes, that court that neither us or Ukraine belongs to, or Israel, by the way. Right? And now they're doing monstrous crimes. And they're taking it. It's like we're going all the way back to 2001, baby.
Oh, it's 100% 2001. But that's the thing. They told you that from the beginning, Kurt. They told you it was Israel's 9/11, and that's the big. Well, that's one of the.
It's about 15 9/11s. It was 15 9/11s, based on how many people knew and didn't help ahead of time.
Well, you know that U.S. Special Forces were there conducting operations on the day it happened, right? And no one's even questioning that. Yes. So I
should have known. Probably.
Let's do that live. So aside from the fact that again, I have my questions about the whole thing because number one, they're part of Five Eyes. The idea that they have all this surveillance and they didn't know. Number two, the Iron Dome seemed to fail that day. And lest I be called a conspiracy theorist, this is the Times of Israel on November 1st. And this is the headline is U.S. Special Forces said to be deployed to help Israel track down hostages held in Gaza. But the real meat and potatoes is right here. Okay, where is it? Yeah, they bury it. Let's just make sure. October 17th. That's what we'll do. Control F. October. There it is right there. Oh, it's 11. Come on, man. It's down towards the bottom. There it is right here. Though Mayer would not reveal how many special forces are in Israel, and the New York Times cited other unnamed U.S. officials as saying several dozen have been sent in the past few days, there was already a small team in Israel on October 7th for previously arranged training. So U.S. forces in Israel on the day that the action takes place, where there seems to be a stand down, and something happening with the Iron Dome and intelligence failure abound. Are you aware of the lovely quotation from Netanyahu that I think it was like in 2008 or 2009, there's one thing that we are benefiting from as Israel, and that's the attacks of 9/11.
Oh, I mean, you'd be stupid not to say it. That's what That's when they used to say we need to be more like El Al Airlines, and we need to. Israel really knows how to handle this kind of stuff. We got to be more like Israel. We got to torture these people when we get them, and all that shit. And by the way, I didn't have no problem with none of it at the time. Not an ounce of problem with it. It's just now, I can't believe the same thing. I get if you like live there, I guess, and you've got those years of ethnic rivalries. But here in America, for people to fall, that's just pure programming, man. That's like it feels like they're popping their last button before they got to start using fake werewolves from space and shit. Like this is the last emotional button.
Man,
because
don't
they
get
pop
me
pretty
about
much
those
all of
fake
them.
space werewolves because they're on the way, bro. Like I'm sure they're getting ready to roll. I mean, you saw that one asshole that said that the UAPs were either foreign or they were aliens, and then he had to resign last week.
No, who was that?
Let's just type that one in too. But
That
he
Grush
gave
guy got his job
testimony.
back.
Here it is, right here. So he was the Pentagon UFO chief, and he resigned on the 12th after giving testimony that the sightings could be foreign powers or aliens, but not us.
That's
guy.
weird because they said it wasn't foreign powers, but just before that, it's really funny watching. I just read this book by John D'Souza. Do you know that guy? The guy from the FBI that was the X-Files dude?
Yes, I do know.
And
about
he was on
D'Souza.
Redacted, and he was talking about his book, and I was like, I thought it was far-fetched. And I was on a plane. I was just bored. So I read it, and boy, I tore through that fucking book, and it was very interesting.
Tore right through it? Oh,
yeah, because he doesn't believe in any alien races or nothing. And one thing that I think who he's referring to, but I'm not sure. He won't say who it is. But these like initiating contact events that Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah, Greer's the worst. He's the fucking worst. He's an op, bro. He is the op.
There's a story. There's a story of a woman that's he says in one of these contact kind of cults. Okay, she's really into it, and she was told she got caught somehow, whatever. She got a message in her head or whatever, like a David Icke message in her head, that they want to meet with her aside from the group and to be like, go scrub herself so there's no earth bacteria. I'm reading this and I'm like, you gotta fucking be shitting me.
Well,
keep in mind, this woman is saying she normally doesn't tell people this because she doesn't want them to get, and basically she lays face down, hours pass by, there's a green light suddenly. She never sees the aliens, just sees like these like really skinny kind of dark legs with like, and they're covered with some kind of like foot thing. And then she basically gets, it's not their tentacles, she gets tentacle hentai raped. As I'm reading, I'm like, does this guy know about hentai? It sounds like a Japanese fucking thing. And she's making all excuse. It sounds like somebody that got molested in a FLDS that isn't opposed to it. And I'm reading it. It was really creepy as shit. And there's all kinds of weird shit. And then I just saw Dana Pasulka on some interview, and she goes, I don't get involved with that because I don't think it's a good idea to do that or whatever. His thing is it's extra. Like I told you before, I don't think dimensions and all that shit are a right way to look at any of it, because I think there's not a multiverse. There's the universe. It's only multi if like you don't see the whole thing. Like
it's not an infinite loop where there's fucking crab Kurt Metzger. Okay, I'm sorry. I agree with you. I don't think that the multiverse is real. Yes.
Well, no, right, but that's that came in. I watch a lot of physics shit.
Sure, me too.
And I don't understand math. And it always makes me laugh when I'm like, they're like, oh, it's a hologram. Like there's no God, but we live in a hologram, so we're fake. But I can't believe in a thing that's fake, even though I'm fake, because it's a hologram. Like it's so amazing watching the things turn. And I didn't know that the study of consciousness was like a third rail topic for anybody in physics. Who's that old British guy? Who's very respected. He's
the
not
guy from the TEDx talk that basically talks about consciousness not just being in your brain. I know you're talking about.
That's Donald Hoffman, but he's a very famous Roger Penrose. Penrose. And I'm watching him on some girl's podcast talk about, and she goes, because you're supposed to not talk about consciousness, which is like shut up and calculate or whatever is their nerd saying they have, I guess, to compartmentalize their thoughts. But he did, and she goes, and a lot of physicists don't want to talk about it with good reason, because it attracts a really, like, she says, I'm like, kooky crowd. And that right there stuck out to me, because I'm like, that is not a good reason. That's a bad reason. That's the problem with literally everything is like, oh, this is a bad neighborhood. That despicable fucking way that people act. And like, I'm not smart enough. I like a whole bunch of different things and I can put all kinds of stuff together, but I'm not really smart enough. Like the people that should be doing that are trained specifically not to. That's what the whole secondary education system is based on, is to put you in your fucking compartment. Everything's stovepipe. You're in your compartment. Don't go thinking out of your compartment. I don't know what your socioeconomic background is, Jason, but you went to graphics, so you're way out of your depth here, even talking about any of this, and you should. And
I'm a pizza boy. Listen, I'm a welfare pizza boy. Grow up, like that's the whole thing. You know, it's funny you said that.
You shouldn't be talking about this.
So
you're not. That's not your part of the pyramid, buddy.
I get it. No, and unfortunately, a lot of people fall into that victimhood mentality.
All of your schooling in life, public schools designed that beautiful Prussian, Rockefeller fucking demented Anglo fucking Nazi system that they have specifically to break your will, to see if you'll follow stupid rules. Like, it's just collecting data. Everything is to collect data. So whatever in my school, they were obsessed with catching people wearing hats. And I didn't wear a hat, but I didn't understand this big fucking battle about if you could wear a hat or not. It just seemed absolutely dumb to me as a kid. That the point of it is, we told you not to do it. We need to have the data to show that you're fucking in line, and you know, because it's in that guy Ingalls' fucking 6 tenets of education. People also.
Sorry.
People need
the more
to be,
you know, Kurt.
People need to be homogenized enough so that market research works.
You can't be too.
So this, just because you're bringing the, so today I listened to this podcast. So I think I played clips or sent you stuff on the chief scientist of NASA talking about brain chips and human beings and blah, 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 blah. That guy. Turns out that he retired as the chief scientist at NASA June 30th. And in the last hour of the last day that he was working there, he did a podcast. And literally, he says in the final thing, I want to play some of it. Hopefully, I'm bringing up right the part. Basically, by the second grade, your imagination is totally shot because of the school system. And they need people that he calls basically mavericks that somehow, and he says usually they're only children, by the way, a lot of the times.
Really?
That's what he says. And he says basically they're somehow able to circumvent some of that. And they're the best inventors, and they're the people that are really driving change and whatever. Let's see if this is the part right here.
To one idea. You have to be a person with enough perseverance, a monomaniac. Capture that is to capture our home email too. But it's also important to develop the best minds worldwide, because technology worldwide is now flat. All right. There was a book out in the middle of those.
Yeah, I noticed. Oh, okay. Do you hear what he said though?
What's that?
That's why Eric Weinstein, I really do want to just talk to him, because he was talking about when he met Epstein, the situation. And I told you it sounded like what we did on Sacha Baron Cohen's show.
Yeah.
We prime people, we had a billionaire character.
I remember.
And I didn't believe people would go along with it. I told you I was wrong every time. God damn it, stop texting me. I was wrong every time. And when I heard him telling the story of meeting Epstein, I was like, holy, I just want to talk to him and ask him, because that is one of the craziest fucking things to me. And he always talks. You know, because now you're starting to see people talk about string theory was a big fucking dead end crock of shit waste of time, which I tried to get my head around for many years, and I'm actually angry I even wasted time thinking about it. And there is a stagnation that it looks intentional, and it looks like it's like to make you not like. I have no problem believing that somebody's working on real shit that they don't plan to share, and all that. We're gonna have a flying car business. Things keep coming under new management at the top.
Just so you know, that podcast.
What?
Just so you know, that podcast. Bushnell spends 5 minutes telling you how the flying car is coming. It's going to be a $2.3 trillion industry in that same pod. Dude, you need to listen to this podcast, because it's literally, It says the flying car's coming. Now, I don't know whether they're telling the truth. Like, you know what I mean? Because he's told a lot of lies, and he works for the National Security Agency on top of it. I mean, he works with with a ton of it. He talks about, I think, even working with Office of Naval Intelligence and all the submarines. But he says the personal flying car, he thinks it's only going to be a few years away before it starts getting commercialized, but it has to be fully autonomous. Now, again, whether that's real or not, he says it. You mentioned Epstein, dude, and you know what we didn't talk about? Nygard. And he is the Epstein of the North, bro. So you don't know about this.
What's his name again?
Peter Nygard. So
I know that name.
He just got convicted on 4 of the 5 counts. In fact, his own son is the one that helped bring him down after years and years of, decades since the 80s. But this
fucking guy.
Listen,
this guy I'm looking at looks like a fucking.
He looks like Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula. So the funny part about that is that what he's accused of doing had his own little island too. He was having sex and raping girls as young as 14, getting them pregnant, making them have abortions, and through his own biotech company, was having the stem cells from those abortions, which were half him, injected in his body in a quest to live forever.
Did it work?
He was, you want to see what he looked like 10 years ago before he went to jail? He's an 82-year-old man. Hold on. Nygard, live forever.
That's what that stem cell shit has been around for a while, and a bunch of rich people use it. Mel Gibson had a whole thing on Rogan where he talked about his dad gets boners again.
Well, his dad finally died. He was like 102 when he died, though. So here's Nygard a decade ago openly talking about immortality in the Bahamas. Not so much the, hey, I'm raping girls as young as 14 and taking their stem cells. But here's how they
should have bought from John of God, the Oprah network.
One man, younger at heart than those half his age.
That man is Peter Nygard. And according to this video posted on YouTube, the 70-year-old fashion designer claims to have discovered the fountain of youth.
Look at my before and after pictures. I gone from anti-aging to reverse aging.
He goes on to explain the science behind those claims.
I've been doing stem cell therapy now 4 times a year for the past 3 years.
Stem cells can be turned into just about any kind of cell, which means potentially they could be used to repair damage caused by disease. But in Canada, it's illegal to clone them.
Nygard moved from Winnipeg to the Bahamas several years ago. He launched a biotech company in 2009, hired 4 scientists specializing in stem cell technology, and lobbied the Bahamian government to create legislation to further his research. He now says his doctors have made a scientific breakthrough, successfully changing his skin cells into embryonic stem cells, essentially turning back his biological clock.
This is huge. This is a game changer. This could eliminate all disease. This perhaps is immortality.
But this University of Manitoba ethics professor who's been studying stem cell research since scientists cloned Dolly the sheep in the late 1990s says Nygard's claims are unfounded.
There is no magic stem cell cocktail that you can drink or inject into your arm that will make you younger or healthier or that will help you to live longer.
Arthur Schaefer says while the technology isn't there yet, there's still an ongoing debate as the science could also be used to enhance physical and mental traits in only the people who could afford it.
The use of stem cell technology to create supermen and Wonder Women has many people feeling very uneasy.
But Schaefer admits, if nothing else, Nygard's video will further the debate on the issue until science catches up.
I want to live forever or die trying.
Bring the action.
So he wants to live forever or die trying. Maybe you didn't catch it, but he was standing next to Bill Gates right there.
TRT people look better than that.
He was on TRT on top of it. Again, that's over a decade ago. That's from 2012, 2013. The charges didn't come, I think, formally till 2019. There are charges in the United States where he could be extradited. It's really the tip of the iceberg, but it's not being talked about. Yeah, go ahead.
Is the young teenage girl thing because that's part of their they want the freshest, youngest ovaries to do their weird thing?
So he's on video.
This is like how Mary was like 12 when she became pregnant with our Lord.
I like how you're stroking your beard as you make the vampiric Nygard connection to organized religion.
No,
Christianity in
they
general.
all fucking Dude, that's a wild thing. Is like that feeling of like, it's like I was watching. This guy wrote a book about the actual demons from the Bible, what they are, and it's very interesting because I didn't know. I really got into this lately. Is supposedly they were monotheists in Israel. No, they were polytheists, and then they became henotheists, which is when you believe there's a lot of gods, but only one of them is the good one. That's a henotheist. That's not the same as a monotheist, which is there's no other gods but God, is monotheism. Ancient Israel, the time when it was around, was henotheists. And the way those scriptures were originally written is very interesting because it talks about a council of gods, because they're Canaanites with a little bit of some nomads mixed in, so who brought the Yahweh, and Yahweh's in the pantheon. With Baal just means Lord. Okay, that's why you get these repeating the guy dies for your sins, the guy dies to defeat death thing over and over. It's a repeating thing. Doesn't mean there's no Jesus, just means that was definitely overlaid on his story if there was a Jesus.
Epic of Gilgamesh, right? There's so many of those tales that are prior to that.
And this guy's book's interesting because I always bring up that singularity thing. Reminds me of the Tower of Babel story, where they're like, we're going to build this tower, basically trying to make a man-made mountain because they think God lives on a mountain, and then we'll be God. We'll put a throne on it, and whatever dumb shit. And the technological singularity. I remember a long time ago hearing about it, and then all this fucking social media horseshit went wild, and I was like, wow, it's like the Tower of Babel, like the language, we're going to be God, and then next thing you know, no one can speak the same language, even though you just were speaking the same language this whole time, and now suddenly the language is confused. And it reminded me so much of that. And anyway, what he was saying is because it's the mistranslations they do of Bible things, basically the way it actually originally read is God gave the supreme God gave the minor gods. He basically divorced humanity because over this Tower of Babel, and that's the language being confused and everybody forming their own nations. That's where it lists where all the countries came from. And he put a god in charge of each of them as like a punishment, like their shitty gods they had. And so what the Bible is supposed to be is like the Apostle Paul, when he comes in and makes it not just a Jewish thing, it's to reverse the Tower of Babel. Now all the nations can come together. That's like the story that's missed in it. I'm not saying whether it's true, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell, right? You were just talking about the different translations. That's why I'm always, because I think that stuff's fascinating too. But at the same time, it's like, what can I really prove? I've been alive for so long, and look at all of the shit that's been pulled over my eyes. I barely know about the culture and our real history.
It's repeating that. No, that's a great point.
Yeah.
But like I said, even reading lies, I get something out of it. Even reading people's lies, you get a lot out of it, or I do, because you can. I end up. What is it called? Eidetic is a name for the memory. I was watching a thing about it. I'm like, oh, that's how I remember things. Is like I got a bunch of shit. I don't have a mind palace or whatever.
You're talking about ideation?
No, eidetic memory. There's no such thing as photographic memory. There's like, unless you're like severely like the guy from Rain Man, the real guy who's severely autistic, and he has that photographic. He reads he looks at each page independently with each eye, and it remembers like a photo. But most people don't. There's a thing called eidetic memory. The way I was described, I was like, that's I have that. I just got a bunch of shit floating around. That's how I write jokes, because in fact, it dawned on me a lot of things that I would joke about or people would joke about. Dan Natterman would joke about when the commercials say, ask your doctor about a medicine. And you're like, well, maybe you don't be a stranger either, doctor. That's a weird, like, hey, I can't help you. You go, what about Prilosec? He goes, the commercials say how much to give you? It's a good joke. And so many of these jokes are good that stick in my head. They're like, you're not seeing the forest for the trees. You're like, that is weird. Why are they doing that? And what happens is I remember all these bits, and the jokes that come to me are because of that kind of memory. Like, wait, this is absurd. You're noticing patterns, like analogies, basically. The jokes are like analogies, and it's so many fucking repeating patterns, and someone's studying this shit. So I don't believe this, like the network that they call it in Quigley's book. I don't think that the network can trace their history back to Atlantis or any shit like that. But I'm sure there's a Gwyneth Paltrow goop new agey kind of thing going on where they think they can.
Well, there is. Sure it's Manly P. Hall's Secret Destiny of America. You don't know about that one?
No, no.
Hold on, let's bring that up. So that's an old school book. It's Blavatsky, and I think that Manly P. Hall.
She's fucking Ukrainian royalty or something, ain't she?
I don't know about that, but I do
I
know.
thought she was a straight up con artist, but what I'm reading this book is New Age was part of the thing they wanted to start inserting around 1912 into everybody's, like, they want New Age is like an op from this group.
Yeah, I agree. So
But
in that,
in their words,
here it is, The Secret Destiny of America, Manly P. Hall, and in it, like, that's where, I mean, it goes beyond the just the round table groups into the esoteric, and I'm pretty sure in that one, like, the big Masonic secret is that Lucifer is not only like the being of light that gives everybody the information, but also comes from the double dog star Sirius. I think that's also in there.
Saturn.
Well, the Saturn cult's different, but like in the Manly P. Hall one, The Secret Destiny of America, that's what he says. He gives away a bunch of Masonic secrets, and supposedly that's it on the Lucifer character. But again,
so Lucifer, okay, so Jehovah's Witnesses actually taught this. Like, Lucifer has never been a name for Satan. That's not what that scripture said. It's some dipshit. I want to say Irenaeus, some early fucking Catholic dipshit, took that. So Lucifer, it just means morning star. Like in the shows, his name's Lucifer Morningstar. His name's Morningstar, or Lightbringer. What the fuck are you talking about?
Hey, that's an Amazon original, man. Why are you knocking it?
So it's so stupid, but that's because Catholics have the best lore, I guess, of all the vampires and werewolves and shit. But that was not Satan. That was a Babylonian king who called himself the light. He was like, basically, if you want to apply it to today, it's like a celebrity is a Lucifer, a star. They call you a star. It's any celebrity that takes a fall, like a shooting star. So the scripture, the guy's mocking, oh, what happened, Lightbringer? Oh, Lucifer, you fell from there. Now you're not lighting. It's mocking him, that scripture. It's about a Babylonian king. It was never about Satan. The ancient Hebrews didn't have a Satan, okay? Or they had a Satan. Satan just means adversary. He worked for God as like a prosecutor. Like, Job wouldn't do your things if you weren't, okay? That's what he did. They had Beelzebub. They had like the demons of the area. Beelzebub. They're not another name for Satan.
So Beelzebub is separate from Satan or Lucifer.
Always was. And
Okay.
so the idea of the ultimate, the bad. Okay, it's a lot of things. It comes into the Judaism idea around when their Persians were over them, and that's Zoroastrianism, where there's two sides, a light, but in Zoroastrianism there's an equal light and dark. But so then there's all stuff that gets mashed together over the years. So that's when you start having, there's a Satan. But it wasn't until like later in your Augustine times, or your long after Christ is dead, but before they make the official Bible at the Council of it's not Nicaea. That's where or Nicaea. That Nicaea is where they decided if Jesus is God or is separate from God. But that's where they start. And then he took a third of the angels with him. All that shit. That's all from Paradise Lost. There's a bunch of shit in today's mythology of Christianity that came out of Paradise Lost.
Yeah, the Dante's Inferno story, right?
And so all that bullshit. So as soon as Alex Jones, it's Luciferian. I'm sure they're saying, I'm sure there's fucking people that say, oh, Lucifer and this and that. They're not getting it from the ancient source. Doesn't teach that. It's just like any other religion that believes something stupid, like the Trinity, which is nonsensical. Okay, where God's 3 in 1 and all that dumb shit. When you think of the amount of ridiculous time spent on this, as if it would matter. As if it would fucking matter if you think there's a 3 in 1 God, or it's just Jesus is his son. But that's the kind of shit that people go over, because esoterics and all that is really important to people, I guess. So, like, I know there's a mythology to it that these people believe, and goes back to every dippy magic thing, and Madame Blavatsky and these people, all these rich aristocrats that go to the Orient and learn from the secret masters, right? Like that shit's real popular. And they've been passing that down the line in lieu of like regular, because you don't want just regular poor people religion. You're gonna have, we're the best of the best, and we're gonna be immortal. So we're gonna have like an extra special fucking thing. Like Scientology offers that. You're gonna be better than the other. You're gonna have superpowers. We're opening a superpower center. And whatever.
Well, that's what they tell everybody. Like that's the whole secret.
Yeah, and at the top, when you get there, you're just gonna be fucking and sucking. That's what it always ends up being. Is a big fucking suck fest, and it all gets real weird. But And I have no, I 100%, you know, you see the pictures. Of course they're into weird shit, but I don't believe it goes all the way back to Atlantis. No, I don't think.
You know what? Again, America's Secret Destiny, like it gets into the Atlantean thing. When you get into weird and religion, and Masonic stuff, do you know about the Cremaster cycle? You ever hear about that?
I went to the art exhibit in New York.
Did you? So the way I was introduced to it, it's so weird. You went to that fucking art exhibit. So did you actually, was it up on the screens? Basically, I was in Miami.
Didn't seem like anything.
And no, well, I mean, you know they're in like that white, which building is it? But it's all like Masonic symbolism, and they got the Rockettes and agnostic front and whatever. But I was at some weird event in Miami, and we're all eating or whatever, and then we go out, and like this is like the first time, I think it was like a Ducati bike party. Like I'm at $14 Coronas and the shittiest bottle people in the world, and and like, you know, it's like 15 years ago, they have these giant screens, and I'm looking at these half-naked Rockettes and all this weird like puppetry, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Am I at the CERN particle collider?
And for those that don't know what I'm talking, it's so funny that you know exactly what it is. But like this, all this stuff that you're looking at right here really doesn't even do it justice. Like it rivals the Holy Mountain for maybe like the weirdest piece of cinema.
It just
I've
looks
ever
like,
seen.
you know, because artists always love that shit. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses doesn't have a guy at the top who's rich. It doesn't. They built a self-replicating machine because there is an accountability structure in there, even though I don't believe it in it. And they did try to get out of you know, all the molestations that happened on their watch. It's not the same as like you got a pope with it and a secret black pope, and they don't have that. And a lot of this stuff, I was watching a thing about Project Monarch, and they're guys talking about you know, you have kids in cages, and they could be shocked, and the scientist goes, I love you not, and then the kids who are the I love yous know they don't want to be the I love you nots. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, this is reminding me of something, which is, all of society. Oh, you mean what our society is based on? You don't have to take nobody underground to do it. The whole society is that. We got a whole carpet of homeless we don't clear out till Xi Jinping comes to visit. And they're there to let you know you don't want to be an I love you not. Oh, I'm an I love you. And that's why people that are smart, when I'll tell them not even as deep as this show we're talking about, but they know it's true. I just want to keep my head down and do my job. And that's in the guy's book, Carol Quigley, is once institutions take over, it's no longer, that's the end of the fucking civilization. The social connections become institutions, and the institutions, there's a circle that moves outwards from the center of the civilization as it becomes an empire. And then they only care about, like Rome, the outer circle, and they let the inner circle go to shit. Because that's what the fuck's happening. And inversely, you only care about the inner circle of the leadership, and the outer circle will become clowns more and more. It's a really amazing thing that this guy studied. You probably read it, but that's the thing. Like a lot of this mind control shit, I'm sure somebody does something to somebody on an individual basis. I have no doubt of that. But they don't really, to create the society we have, it's creating itself. It really is. Once we got you on money, on our sigil magic of the dollar and soon to be conjuring magic of digital currency, once you've accepted that spell, it runs itself. It runs itself, and we just got to give nudges. We just give a nudge. That's their big thing they like to talk about, nudging, the form of coercion. With that, and then instead of saying we love God, we say democracy or science. They've got it down to a science. And this guy he went and studied and there's a guy who's for this, wrote this. He just didn't understand why it was a secret. And dude, it's 1,500 pages. There's long of all the fucking bloodlines of who were involved and where the Duchess of this and that. It reads like the Book of Numbers, like who begat who. Okay, and just like the original Bible is a bunch of people trying to create a whole backstory about how they're connected to this original event. The actual Bible is that. So Genesis and all that is at the time when it's Hellenized Judaism in Egypt. And they had the Alexandria Library, and these guys are like, okay, let's take all this story, like the Brothers Grimm, and construct this history that explains how we got here, which is We were supposed to do what God said, but we didn't, over and over again. And that's why the Bible has repeating patterns, because they're taking the tropes of the time. Like if you're making Superman, like superhero movies or whatever, there's always tropes. They're reusing them. And then now you got people who look at that, and that was already war propaganda strung together for somebody at the time. It's very good war propaganda. It's timeless, in fact. And so the curse of Ham, where Noah gets raped or his nakedness looked at, and so he curses Ham's son Canaan, the excuse that we should kill them in Canaan and take their shit. That was used in America. The curse of Ham. It's ultimate. You can reuse this to justify anything. Joseph Smith used that curse to explain the Native Americans, why they're here. Though they're the Hamitic curse of Noah's grandson Ham fucked him in the ass, and now that's why the Indians are bad. It's timeless. And so these people in charge,
It's timeless.
yeah, these people in charge know that, and they reuse the goddamn stories, and they write them, and you can see them. Oh, it's like the Black Israelites. Well, guess what? The Black Israelites stole that from the Anglo-Israelites. And I'm sure the kings and queens thought they were the real descendants of some fucking real lost tribe of Israel. That's what that lion is.
I think some of them did until the Rothschilds got involved in the robber baron class, and they were just murdering people and taking the crown. But that's a story for another day. Mr. Metzger, we've been going for almost 2 hours, and you're down to less than 1 frame a second somehow. Progressively, your camera got worse. Like, you're on freeze frame right now for the last... I know you can hear me. It just got so weird. You know what? It's because he's from an undisclosed location. He's actually...
It's my Dumb's base. I'm in a Dumb's base. Anyway, look out for the werewolf invasion pretty soon after this Israel thing doesn't work out.
I'll tell you what, Metzger, we definitely got to get together, not just before World War III, but maybe we'll get together right in the beginning of the primaries before the election starts heating up. Because I don't know if you saw it, but actually Biden at this APEC thing actually mentioned that Gavin Newsom's basically going to be running for president.
Oh, I saw that coming. And nobody's going to care how bad... Dude, but he'll do great. He's probably the best bet they had, and he'll be like, that guy's handsome. I mean, you understand what I don't. This is something I don't understand until I have to remind myself. Most people are worried about if Taylor Swift and that fucking football player are going to work out. So
it's incredible.
Okay, nobody cares about any of this. I'm looking forward to it. You know why? Because I smoked for 20 years. So. Oh, did you live healthy? Well, fuck you. You're dying with me, motherfucker.
Well, I plan on living like 120 into the abyss. One of the last human beings out there.
You got that abortion stem cell thing going? You got the whole setup.
I mean, I got the electronics. We're not going to... We've got no Nygarding or biotech companies. I just got my little brain and information and some discernment. So, Metzger, it's always a pleasure. And
yeah,
like
man, you too. Send me will you please send me the Epstein thing? I need that for that's just so great.
Yeah, I will send
and
you. And
Reagan slapping. I need both of those.
Okay, Reagan slapping and Epstein getting DM'd right after I get done. I'll send it over on Twitter. All right, brother.